You ever notice the more technology we come out with, the more that crimes that happened 40 or 50 years ago are starting to be solved? So let's dive into today's case and we try to figure out how police solve this 50-year-old case. And as a full disclosure, viewer discretion is advised. 18-year-old Theresa Marcoux and 20-year-old Mark Harnish, they both attended East Longmeadow High School. Theresa worked at the local hardware store as a clerk in their pet department, and Mark, who is known as a quiet, polite person, worked at a car repair shop. Now, the last time these two will ever be seen together was back on November 19th of 1978, after they left a party that was hosted by a friend. And it wasn't until the next day when Mark's vehicle was found at a rest stop off of Route 5 and Riverdale Street. When police had arrived at the scene, they had noticed that the driver's side window was damaged, as well as there was a lot of red Kool-Aid in and around the vehicle. And after following the trail, they were finding the bodies of both Theresa and Mark. And upon examining the bodies, they had found that they had multiple gunshot wounds. Police would go ahead and document and photograph everything at the scene, and had collected both physical and biological evidence. They even thoroughly searched the rest area to see if they can locate the weapon. But after doing an extensive search, they could not locate the weapon. Both Mark and Theresa were allegedly shot in the passenger seat of the vehicle, and their bodies were then moved to a location that they would later discover that. They would come to find out that the bullets in both the victims came from the same firearm, which was capable of firing .38 caliber ammunition. Police would go ahead and question multiple people that live around the area, in which all of them said they heard multiple gunshots around 4 a.m. And after searching the vehicle more, they ended up finding a fingerprint. Now, that fingerprint would become important later on in the story. Now, this is 1978, so they didn't have computer systems back then, so when they looked through fingerprints, they did it manually, which took hundreds of hours, and after all that time period, they still could not find a match for that fingerprint. So this case would go cold for the next 46 years. One day, the police had got an anonymous tip from an unknown person, in which they told police they should look into this person, Timothy Jolie. Now, Timothy, he's only 71 years old and lives in Clearwater, Florida. So police would go ahead and tell this person that they'll go ahead and look into it. So after doing some digging on Timothy, they kind of find out that he lived in the exact same area as both Mark and Theresa, and that he was also a licensed gun owner in November of 1978. One thing that raised red flags about him was that he purchased a handgun a month before both Mark and Theresa were alive. But even with this information, they still couldn't put Timothy at the scene of the crime. This is why I said that this fingerprint was important. Police would do is they would take that fingerprint from the crime scene and run it through AFIS, also known as the Automated Fingerprints Identification System. So when they ran that fingerprint through AFIS, they got a match on it, and that fingerprint matched Timothy Jolie. The reason why Timothy's fingerprint was in the system wasn't because he committed a crime, it was because he had applied for a taxi cab license back in 2000. So just to confirm that it was actually a direct match, they would go ahead and compare it to over 70,000 other fingerprints, in which it always came back as a match for Timothy. On October 29th of 2024, an arrest warrant was issued for Timothy, and the very next day he was arrested. He was held without bond at the Pinellas County Jail, where he waived his extradition. Now, when the person is being extradited, they have a hearing first, and during that hearing, a judge determines whether to transfer that person to another state or country where they face charges, and it is based upon the request of the jurisdiction the crime was committed in. Now, to waive extradition means that the person gives up their right to a hearing, and they agree to be transferred to the state or country that they be charged in. Now, in the coming weeks, Timothy will be transferred from Florida back to Massachusetts, and it's still unclear if he had retained a lawyer. This is one of the reasons why you need to be aware of your surroundings, because you never know who's hiding in the shadow. If you enjoy listening to cases like this, stay tuned for more videos to come, and if you're new, check out my other videos that you may like. And with that, hug your kids, call your mom, and enjoy your day.